Again, 6:15 p.m. for this tornado warning that's been issued by the National Weather Service. We've seen social media pictures of a funnel cloud across Lake Norman. We started to notice this just to the east of Lincolnton earlier, but there was not yet any clear evidence that we actually had something that was of significant threat, but that has changed here in the last 5-10 minutes or so. At 5:38 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was 10 miles north of Huntersville or near Mooresville, moving to the east at about 15 miles an hour. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will take place. Tree damage is likely. Now, again, this is radar indicated rotation with the storm that we have seen fairly consistently since back there towards Lincoln County. And you can make out the pink polygon represents the tornado warning. We'll bring it in a little closer. And there's a real nice hook echo going on with this storm yet again. This is probably the third time we've seen this. You can see it right about there. And that has been popping up repeatedly since back in Lincoln County. I'm going to pull this back out to a broader view. We're going to bring it back over towards Lincoln County, and I'm going to back up the radar here so you get a sense for what's going on. But here's the cell actually as it was coming in on 321. Coming out of Gaston County, close to High Shoals. It's been tracking off to the east. We started to notice that this is what we refer to as a right turner in the business, where everything's moving northeast, but this was headed to the east. And this is back there along 73, just to the east of Lincolnton area. Looks like it may be around Iron Station Zone, but yeah, that was a nice hook echo there. Velocity data at the time didn't confirm that that was a tornado going on, but as this continued to progress to the east towards the Westport region, we saw several other instances where we started to see that hook echo return. Now, you see that pie slice, all right? There's a history behind that pie slice. The bottom line is that the radar turns off as it scans across that region because of a couple of schools. This is the terminal Doppler weather radar out there on Old Huntersville Concord Road, and it shuts down as it scans across those schools. But watch as it comes out of the pie wedge there, if you will. You can see, again, a little bit of a hook echo there for a brief moment. Let me back this up a frame or so. Right in this area, there was a little bit of a hook echo there. And then as this continued to work its way off to the east, a little bit of a jog to the northeast, we saw evidence of another attempt to kind of refine itself, define itself in terms of yet another hook echo going on. And that's about the time, as we saw just a few moments ago, when the National Weather Service has issued the tornado warning for southern Iredell County and southwestern portions of Rowan County until about 6:15 p.m. As this continues to work its way off to the east at close to 15 miles an hour. So let me go ahead and get a storm track on this for you. I need to make a couple of adjustments here before we'll put that storm track on the screen for you. But again, the movement about 15 miles generally to the east is the movement. And so we'll take this out, and we're looking at folks who are around Enochville, Courier Heights area, and China Grove. So Enochville about 6:19. Courier Heights area at 6:28 p.m. and China Grove at about 6:40 p.m. But as we have noted, the tornado warning goes until about 6:15 p.m. We'll see if anything is issued a little bit further upstream as we head here over time. As this cell that started to develop back towards Lincoln County and Gaston County has continued now to work its way off to the east at close to 15 miles an hour. So there's been a level 1 risk today for some severe weather. Possibility for mainly damaging winds, although when you deal with a level 1 designation from the Storm Prediction Center, there's always that small chance that something like this can flare up. But you can see as we put that in motion, you notice how everything else is kind of headed off to the almost northeast here, but here this cell has been headed off to the east. Now there's been a little meso low that's been working through the area earlier today that I'm sure has been adding to kind of the spin, if you will, atmospherically, allowing for this to develop. You look at it with the radar mosaic and you see, well, there's not a whole lot of a clear defined deal going on there, but we get a better look at it with the terminal Doppler weather radar, which is just north of Charlotte. And we can see a little bit of a poorly defined hook return going on, but still there is enough of one there that National Weather Service folks have issued the warning for it. Now, on the velocity data, I'm not seeing really a clear hook echo out of this. As we roll this back through time, it's poorly defined, not a tight couplet going on, a pretty broad area of circulation, it would appear at the moment, at least based on the winds. But as we take a look at it again, just with the regular radar return from this particular radar, there is just a little bit of a hook echo that continues to happen here with this storm. And as you can see, there it is right in there. This is all generally working its way again off to the east at close to 15 miles an hour. There has been a little bit of a jog at times off to the northeast. I'm going to bring this out again for you with a little bit of a larger view. We want to get a storm track on it. So for folks who are ahead of this storm, they need to be inside, away from outer walls, windows, and doors. This is radar indicated. I haven't seen anything confirmed as a tornado on the ground. More than likely, of course, so. We are seeing the ever-present result of what was a confirmed funnel cloud across Lake Norman earlier. We've seen several social media reports of this confirmed online. So National Weather Service has now issued this tornado warning for southern Iredell County and there into portions of southwestern Rowan County until 6:15 p.m. Enochville 6:18, Landis about 6:31. That will be all that time that you see there is currently after the warning has expired. Certainly a possibility we could see something extended a little bit further to the east as we head here over time, but we'll see. It's a relatively weak rotation going on with this, highly localized at best, very small compared to some of the other returns that we see at times with the tornado warnings. But this should be treated as perhaps an active tornado on the ground. And so for the folks that are there in that region, people need to be very cautious, need to be inside and safe, and just kind of ahead of what's going on. This is just south of Mooresville now. Mooresville getting some heavy rainfall in the region. This will be closing in on Highway 152 and Highway 3. Folks will be affected by this as this continues to work its way to the east. We're going to keep an eye on the returns that we're seeing here. Not a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning with this particular storm as this is working its way to the east. We're waiting for the latest update here to come in with the radar scan, and we'll kick back over to the velocity data here in just a second. But it is, again, important, folks, that if you're up in southern Iredell County and southwestern half of Rowan County, that folks are inside and seeking shelter and away from the outer walls, windows, and doors. A radar indicated, nothing confirmed visually by either emergency folks or any of the official storm trackers in the region. I'm not seeing anything coming by, coming across the chat at this moment from those folks. But let me kick over to a different sort of setup here for you. It's going to take just a moment for me. We'll get into a little more of a mode with the tracking of this storm, but just heads up with the tornado safety reminders for you, please. Folks, get to the lowest level of your home. Don't have a whole lot of basements here in the region because of the red clay, but lowest level, most interior room of your home, put as many walls between you and the storm as possible. Turn up the volume on the TV or radio and take the phone with you. If you've downloaded the Spectrum News app, you'll be able to watch us if you can't be near your television set, and have shoes and food nearby. I don't think this is going to be that type of case that's going on, but folks need to, again, please treat this very carefully and with a lot of respect as this storm is on the move. Let me get back over to the radar here for you. For the folks in the control room, there is a radar source that you can put into the other box if you want. That is source 23, max 23. And I'll just leave that on that box so you can go to that at any point that you need. That is max 21. That's not our radar box. Again, CW Max 23 is the radar box you're looking for the source there. There you go. That's the correct box. So a tornado warning issued from the National Weather Service. There was a confirmed funnel cloud across Lake Norman. We started to see that return come across areas of the northern half of Lake Norman, south of Mooresville. This has been working its way generally off to the east at close to 15 miles an hour. And so for folks who are ahead of this, and I'll put a storm track on it again here in a moment, just be aware that this is in your region, and it is active, and it does need to be treated with a lot of healthy respect, just based on the photo evidence that we saw earlier. Now, what I want to stress with you all again is that we don't have anything confirmed as on the ground at this point, as having been on the ground at this point. But with the radar return that we're seeing and the occasional hook echo that we're seeing out of it, yeah, you certainly need to be in a safe spot. Here's another graphic for you off of 27. Let's go over this. Safest place for you to be. Again, you want to be on the lowest level of your structure. You want to be away from the outer walls, windows, and doors, and you certainly don't want to be up in the tallest level. If you have 3 levels in your home, you want to come down to the ground floor. And at that ground floor level, that's where you're going to find an interior bathroom, an interior, perhaps where the washer and dryer are located. Can be a hallway as well. Can be a storage closet. That's going to be your safe spot. If you're someone who does have a basement, you want to head down to the basement, and that's where you're going to want to be until this warning expires. The time now 5:52. This tornado warning continues for southern Iredell County and southwestern Rowan County counties until about 6:15 p.m. Again, this is a radar indicated tornado detected coming across Lake Norman. Social media photos confirming a funnel cloud there in the Lake Norman region from earlier. National Weather Service has gone ahead and issued a tornado warning for this based on this information that has come in. So thanks to those folks who have been out there capturing that. I do not encourage that anyone go out and actively chase this. Stay away from it. Stay safe. We don't need for you to become a news story just in case something is actually on the ground. Perhaps there could be even some trees, coming down and power lines down. Also, just a reminder about nowhere to go. Vehicles and mobile homes are just not safe, and you want to be sure that you stay out of those. You want to find a sturdier building and a safer place than to be in either of those. All right, as we get a look at radar here, I'm going to bring it in a little closer. I've got a couple things I need to click off, but we do want to keep an eye on this storm closer to home as it continues to work its way to the east at about 15 miles an hour. Nothing on the velocity data as we look at Max 27. Nothing on the velocity data that would indicate a real tight couplet going on. But as we just look at the pure radar returns with this, we get a sense that it looks like overall this cell has weakened as it has continued to work its way to the east. National Weather Service has just updated some verbiage on this. Let me read that to you as I put things in motion. The tornado warning continues for southern Iredell County and southwestern Rowan County until 6:15 p.m. At 5:53 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 9 miles northwest of Kannapolis or just south of Mooresville, moving to the east at about 10 miles an hour. So this is a radar indicated rotation with this storm. Nothing confirmed is on the ground, but there's always the possibility that ever so briefly we could have the funnel cloud make contact with the ground, at which time it is then a tornado. And sometimes I will tell you that even with all the advanced technology, that can happen so quickly that sometimes the radars may not be able to pick it up because of their scanning 360 degrees, and the beam may not be necessarily over the storm at the time that it does that. But as we step out and get a broader view here from the Big 88D, the National Weather Service Doppler radar down at Greer, and I click the light and off, you can see that it just really hasn't picked up clearly on that possibility of that rotation. And so we have the advantage of the TDWR here in the Charlotte region, which largely has an aviation need for it, which is the original design of this particular radar is to pick up wind shear and straight line winds close to the airport. That was brought about because of that accident back, I believe, in the early 90s. U.S. Airways coming out of Columbia, South Carolina, coming into land at the airport, trying to get in between two thunderstorms, was put into the ground because of wind shear across the airport. A microburst, I believe, was the exact cause of that. So these TDWRs have gone up across the country at the airports to help better detect wind shear and microbursts in close proximity to the airports. The problem for airplanes is you come in, you're losing power, you're losing height. Oftentimes, if they're up high enough, they can recover from it. But as you're coming in, you're throttling back, you're losing power, you're losing lift, and they just don't have enough room to recover from that. So it's a valuable tool that we're greatly dependent on. FAA has charge of that particular radar, but they do share the data with the folks at the National Weather Service, and we're able to get that data as well here. As you can see, this continues to work its way to the east at about 15 miles an hour, not as clearly defined, but I'll tell you, there's still a bit of an echo going on with that as we look at that continuing to slowly work its way generally to the east. We're still seeing just a little bit of a hook going on. Whoops, let me get the right thing on here. But you get a sense, again, for right in here, we're still seeing that little bit of a hook from the tail end of this storm as it continues to work its way east and eventually out of Iredell County. But, man, it is not moving quickly. About 15 miles an hour was the estimate on the movement of the cell a little earlier. I'm going to go ahead and get another storm track on it here for you in just a second. I want to reposition the camera. Again, the movement was generally to the east at close to 15 miles an hour. So we're talking Enochville 621, Landis about 634, China Grove at about 642. The warning problem here is it goes until 6:15. Let me double check the speed of the movement here. That slowed, actually moving east down to about 10 miles an hour. So let me go ahead and readjust some of the data here for you, and we'll get a better feel on the movement to the east at now about 10 miles an hour. So it has slowed considerably as it has been working its way, slowly to the east. So here we are with not many areas expected. I'm sure there's some crossroads. I'll adjust some more data here in a second for you. But as we can see, again, with this working its way to the east, it would need to hang together to affect, Landis, the China Grove area, and Enochville around 6:34, 6:53 for Landis, and about 7 o'clock, 7:04 for China Grove. I don't expect at this time that this will be able to maintain that structure headed to the east. That's current thought process here. But we'll keep an eye on this as it continues to, again, work its way to the east at close now to just 10 miles an hour. So it's moving rather slowly. Just a quick review of the safest place for you to be as you are at your home. We're looking at when sheltering from a tornado, nowhere to go. Quickly move to your basement and bring your emergency supply kit if you have assembled one of those. If you have no basement, move to an interior room with no windows. Top floors do not protect you. Exterior rooms and rooms with windows do not protect you. And no place outside is safe from a tornado. So you want to make sure that you are certainly inside. Now, I'll tell you, we came through a relatively quiet spring. I've been on air here since we have come on Spectrum News and Weather on the Ones since we first started back in, June 14th of 2002. I've 21 years. I've seen some really busy springs. This is one of the few rare, really quiet spring windows that we've had in my memory since I've been a part of this news organization, Weather on the One, since I've been a part of our communities here in the region. And so we're in a fairly active pattern. I think after today, the threat for severe weather diminishes significantly. Not that it was a huge threat like we were seeing out of Texas and areas of Alabama and Louisiana and Mississippi over the last couple of days. We will largely be dealing with showers, a few thunderstorms. There's always a small risk for something to get a little cranky at times out there. There's never exactly a zero sort of risk going on this time of year with storms just kind of strolling through and no threat for severe weather, but it can be greatly minimized at times. And so this coming through today with that level 1 risk from the Storm Prediction Center, a very small possibility for something a little more than damaging winds. The better zone for tornadic development was further to the south, down towards South Carolina and further south down into Georgia. So as we get a look at, I'm going to click a couple things off here. We're back over on the polygon on 23. That's great. You can see the movement there overall. Here is a look at the big view as we come back over to 27. You see that spin back to the west, back over on 27. That is a big area of low pressure that is continuing to develop, and that area of low pressure is going to continue to drop generally off to the south, southeast. It's going to become stationary at times. We've got some boundaries in the region with it. The bottom line for us is we've got a lot of moisture across the area, and we have an ongoing potential daily for showers and for storms. There's a look again at the warned storm that continues to progress very slowly to the east at about 10 miles an hour. And as we take a look, this will continue to work its way to the east. And it will eventually, I think, just finally structurally lose the structure and the spin that is taking place. I want to get a look at the velocity data here. And as we can see a little closer to home, just looking in here for any sort of tight couplet that's going on, and just not seeing that at this time. So that's some good news there. Not so certain we've got anything actually on the ground. I'm not seeing anything confirmed through the National Weather Service. We have professional chat with those folks, and I'm not seeing anything from emergency personnel or spotters in the region that there is something actually on the ground. I've not seen anything recently confirmed for another funnel cloud in that area at this time. So that's all good signs currently. That this is beginning to open up a little more. We're beginning to see this perhaps start to lose a little more of its structure as it continues to roll there to the east and eventually clearing Iredell County. But the last couple of scans here, we're just not seeing a whole lot of clear definition in terms of that. You can see right in here, this was looking pretty good in here as we advance this further in time. This was back around 5:51. We're at 6:03. You can see structurally how it just kind of fills in a bit. So I like what I'm seeing there. But we've seen that happen coming out of Lincoln County in the southeastern Catawba County. We've seen times where the hook echo that radar return has indicated some form of rotation going on. It's disappeared. It's come back at times. And this right now, I think overall, we're losing the overall structure of the initial concern from this storm. But we do continue with the tornado warning. Again, this tornado warning will go until about 6:15 p.m. We'll see if anything is extended further to the east. Not so certain that's going to be the case as we continue here on this early Monday evening after a day where we've had earlier showers and storms come through. Some areas have seen some pretty heavy rainfall out there, and we will continue to deal with an opportunity ongoing for heavy precipitation as the rest of the day unfolds. I'm going to bring this out to a different radar setup as the rest of the day unfolds, and even overnight tonight we'll have more showers, more storms coming into the region. This was the earlier band there off to the east that worked through Charlotte mid-morning. I've been in here since about, 9:45, 10 o'clock this morning, Mr. East was tracking some of this on the air. We saw another round of activity right around lunchtime. And so this is kind of the third round, if you will, that's in the 77 corridor and areas back to the west. As we bring in closer again, that pink polygon represents that tornado warning. Again, the pink polygon represents that tornado warning until about 6:15 p.m. Hopefully, folks are taking this warning seriously and keeping a really close eye to the sky here on the TV and not outside for those folks that are there in southeastern Iredell County and there in the western half of Rowan County. Let's see what the updates are coming in here. Let's see. Tornado warning continues until 6:15 p.m. At 6:04 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located about 8 miles northwest of Kannapolis or near Mooresville, now moving to the northeast at about 10 miles an hour. So I'm going to put another storm track on it here for you. We'll adjust for more of a northeasterly movement. And, there are really largely no huge population centers appear to be in the way, but there are some really small crossroads that I'm sure are in the way of this as this heads over time, as this continues to work its way to the east, northeast at 10 miles an hour. So therefore, the folks in southwestern Rowan County, close to the China Grove, Mount Ola area, points further to the south, heads up on this as this continues to work down northeast at close to 10 miles an hour. We are starting to see on the return, though, a little more of a echo coming back that would indicate a little bit of a notch starting to set up again right about in here. Whoop, that's the wrong button, Mr. Crum. A little bit of a notch right in here that would indicate perhaps we're seeing this trying to perhaps produce another funnel cloud in the region. We did have the confirmed funnel cloud earlier across Lake Norman. No confirmation, and I want to stress this, please, no confirmation of a touchdown of an actual tornado on the ground. It's a funnel cloud until that funnel cloud makes contact with the surface. That's all that it is. Once it makes contact with the surface, then it becomes officially a tornado. So funnel clouds have been confirmed, yes. What we don't have, thankfully so, at this point in time, is a confirmation of a tornado. Visually, it's still daylight. So folks, I'm sure, still have some eyes on this as this continues again to work its way off to the east at about east-northeast at about 10 miles an hour. Last check was more of a northeasterly turn. Had been at 15 miles an hour. Now we're looking at this headed to the northeast at close to 10 miles an hour. And so the warning here until about 6:15 p.m. For southern Iredell County, southwestern portions of Rowan County at this hour. The cell from the National Weather Service, let's see here. Okay, so at 6:15, they're going to let the tornado warning expire. They're telling us the cell's not strengthening, and unless it shows signs of doing so before 6:15, they're going to let the tornado warning expire at 6:15 p.m. And that's sort of what we've been talking about here, the overall structure of the storm, although that not showing up again. We'll see what will come of that as we head here over about the next 7 minutes or so as we press closer to 6:15 p.m. here on this Monday evening. It is the middle of June. We still are capable of at any point during the course of the year to have severe weather here across the Carolinas. If you are new to North Carolina, I want to stress for you when I say at any point during the course of the year, we've had tornadoes in October, November, December, January, February, March, April. At any point during the course of the calendar year, we can have and we have had tornadoes at various times. North Carolina is just uniquely positioned with the Atlantic Gulf of Mexico to the south, mountains to the west to allow for this to take place. It's a complex weather pattern that we often deal with here across the area. And today is just one of those days where things have come together with that little area of low pressure, that little vortice that was coming up out of Georgia across the upstate of South Carolina here into North Carolina. It apparently has given a little more oomph atmospherically, if you will, and to allow for this to take place. So what you're seeing is the pink polygon there. That pink polygon represents the tornado warning that should expire coming up at about 6:15 p.m. As we've noted, the National Weather Service has said unless they see signs of strengthening, they're going to allow that tornado warning to expire here in about another 5 minutes. So the active storm season, kids are out of school. We are this week expecting a daily chance for showers and some storms, rumbles of thunder, maybe not severe weather as the rest of the week unfolds. But as I've stated earlier, at any point when we have storms, there's always a minimal risk that something could get a little extra cranky, as I call it. And so need to teach kids that with summertime underway, when thunder roars, go indoors. When they hear that rumble of thunder, that's their cue to get off the soccer field, off the baseball field, out of the pool at home, out of a community pool. If they're out on any of the area waterways, the rivers we have in the region, even on the area lakes, people need to clear those and return to safe harbor if on the lakes, get off the rivers, get inside, and be safe until active storms are done, until there's no more thunder that you hear in the distance. It's usually about 30 minutes or so after the storms have departed, then you should be safe to get back into the water, whether that's a pool, a river, a lake. But yeah, teach that to your children, please. When thunder roars, go indoors. North Carolina, oftentimes, during the course of the year, and especially we're a fairly active state overall with a lot of hiking in the mountains. We get a lot of bike riding from the mountains out across the Piedmont over into the Sandhills, into the coastal plain. Along the coast, it's a big sporting area for kite surfers. For surfers, for those who like to hang glide out at Jockey's Ridge. It's a fairly active state, and North Carolina can oftentimes, unfortunately, land either in the top 5 or top 10 for lightning-related deaths each year here across the area, and we certainly don't wish that for anyone for that to happen. And so as we progress towards summertime, getting further into summertime, meteorologically, we're in summertime now, please remind the kids, again, because they're out of school, that if they're out, that they hear that thunder, it's time to move indoors. So here we are with the active tornado warning. It is 6:12 on this Monday evening. We've got this warning for, it looks like now, southeastern Iredell County, southwestern half of Rowan County, set to expire at about 6:15 p.m. They will let that take place. And we'll see if anything else is needed to be issued further down the road. But it really does look like that we're starting to see the overall structure of this storm. Things seem to be weakening. It is not a very strong storm at this point in time. And one of the things that we just have not seen with this is just a clear radar couplet. You know, there's a saying of when green meets red, get under the bed, and what we're not seeing is a very clear couplet going on. We have a very loose sense of rotation right in here, but yeah, nothing tight, nothing that I would be currently concerned about in terms of an actual tornado on the ground. This has all been radar indicated for us here on this Monday evening. This storm cell continues to track off to the northeast at close to 10 miles an hour. And it looks like the structure of the cell is continuing to weaken just a bit. Echo tops on this, let's get a look at that. The taller the storm, the more powerful a storm can be. Echo tops here on this cell with the last few scans coming in about 35,000 feet. That can still allow for at least some damaging winds with it. And even at times, what we're seeing here this evening with the tornado warning that's on the cell. I want to get back to this, just the radar returns with the Charlotte Terminal Doppler Weather Radar. Let me click through a few things here. And it does look like as we put this in motion, you can see how the overall structure of the storm seems to be weakening. There is still a little bit of a notch going on there, a little bit of return. But what has not been noted has been an intensification of the storm. So at 6:14 here on this Monday evening, the tornado warning set to expire here in about another 30 seconds or so. We'll continue to track this. We have more storms that are going to be coming in. As we have noted here, for the next several days, we are expecting a daily chance for showers and storms, but just based on what we have seen from the Storm Prediction Center, we've got a general risk for storms tomorrow, not a level 1. Of course, that doesn't mean that you don't get something severe out of it, but it's less likely that we're going to be dealing with a severe threat tomorrow than what we're currently dealing with here on this Monday evening. Pink Polygon has cleared. The tornado warning has cleared, has been allowed to cancel, has been allowed to expire, I should say. And so, unless something else is issued here, I'm going to be here for the duration. Midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning if I need to be. We'll pop back in and exercise a little wall-to-wall action here through the evening hours. So again, the official word is from the National Weather Service that the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. We're going to get back to regular programming. I'll see you in a few minutes, about 6:21 or so, with more live storm tracking and, of course, much more weather. For now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jeff Crown.